Hi, and welcome back to the mindful model making workshop. As I promised on the last video, I'm going to show you a little bit of soldering on brass. I've purchased some new equipment to do this. I didn't spend a great deal of money. It depends on what you call a great deal of money. I used eBay mainly for most of it. I've written down a little note here. So the actual soldering iron was 15.49. It came in a kit. There's loads of bits in the kit, tweezers and various bits and pieces, and a selection of nozzles. Well, one of the things I'm going to show you in a minute is how to look after your nozzle, because obviously that's the bit, and they do wear out after a while. So yeah. So the iron I got is an 80-watt iron, and that was £15.49. Now they are on there cheaper. They're all very much the same. They are 110 to 240 volt, 80 watt, and there will be a screen that lights up. And this is how the nozzle fits. So that's what it should look like, nicely tinned on there. That's how you need to get it. Now I had one which I was working on a little while ago, and it became very oxidized. So the idea now is to try and get that restored back, just to show you that you can. Now, one thing, years ago, the tips are different now than what you used to have. Like, everything's different nowadays than what we used to have, but the tips that we use now, you don't use anything abrasive on them at all. Before, we used to just rub a little bit of soft sandpaper kind of thing across just to clean it. Anyway, so that's how it fits on screws. There's all different types of nozzles that you get. So there are, what, 5 nozzles with it. 2 I've used, 6 nozzles, sorry. And the rest I haven't. They're all for different things. Really, you need to match the size of the nozzle with the work. So if you're doing fine, then use the finest point. Coarse, then obviously use the biggest. So what I'm going to do now is turn this on so that it's heating up, and then I'll show you what happens. So it's plugged in, the plug's on, but the iron's not. You press the red center button, and then it comes on at 200 degrees. Now I take this right up to the top. So it goes, and next press on the plus, 250, 300, and 350, 4, and this goes up to 450. So I'm going to just run it up at that at the moment. Okay. Now it also comes with a stand, and there is a piece of foam which you wet, sponge, that you can use to wipe off the tip. Now that's quite an age-old thing. Nowadays, a lot of people use these copper. It's in like a tin, and the reason is why people have gone off of using, I'll put that into the holder for the moment, it's always best to use something like that, because if you just lay it, you might touch your hair. Now also I've got this mat which is similar to what they use in baking nowadays. This one's a 300mm by 200, so it's a foot by, it was about 8 inches, and it's very heat resistant. It's the same type of thing as what you would bake bits on in the oven, so it's good to protect your work surface. The solder doesn't stick to it, doesn't even melt into it. So I think that was about £3 something, worth having. I use eBay for a lot of my stuff. I'm not promoting them. They don't pay me for anything or anything else. I use it because it's very easy. It's a one-stop shop. I sometimes use Amazon. I'm not saying that everything I buy comes from eBay, but it's very easy. Get something in your head. Oh, have a quick look on there. You look on there, and 9 times out of 10 you can find what you want, because if you don't always want to buy something that's brand new, there's people on there obviously selling off things that they don't use anymore, so you can get bargains as well. I've sold lots of stuff over the years on there, and I've purchased literally thousands of things on there. I've been on there a long time, and I think I don't know what I'm up to, about 1,200 and something odd things that I've bought and sold. Combination of the two. I bought more than I've sold, but I've never had a problem. And if I have, it's always got sorted out. And if you don't trust the thing, because a lot of people don't, use PayPal. The thing is with PayPal, if there's a problem, you get your money back. So I would always recommend that. And again, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. It's just purely based on what I've done. Now, so one of the reasons, we'll go back to this copper tip cleaning. That was, by the way, I have to write things down because I just forget. That was glass scratch soldering brush. That's the scratch pencil. That's the soldering. The tip cleaner was $5.99. So it comes in the tin, and it's just got that. The reason why they reckon this is better is because if you use the piece of sponge, you wet that. When you put the tip on that to wipe off what's on there, it kind of shocks the iron itself, because obviously you're reducing the temperature, whereas this is room temperature anyway. I mean, and you can just literally get it like that. This iron is now hot. You can just rub it in and out like that, and it cleans off anything that's on there. Now what we're going to do in a minute is use some flux. Now, as I said before, I belong now to a model railway club, which is really good, and there's some really clever people. Now they suggested using this Cars green flux is best for soldering brass. Now there are some side effects. Obviously it tells you the danger thing on it. You want to really keep this stuff away from your eyes. If you get any on your fingers, wash them. Soapy water, wash it. It says on there used for white metal, brass, nickel, silver and steel. So the other thing is flux is abrasive, and it will rust things as well. So, and sometimes just the vapor, if you've got steel objects around where you're working, they can cause, the vapor can settle on there and it will start rusting. So it's very corrosive, and that's how the flux works, because the flux eats into whatever it is you're working on and cleans it so that it will stick. Because the thing is with solder, it won't stick to anything unless it's clean. Now the other item I bought, these came as free. They're called a glass scratch pencil brush. There's three. I think there's one with brass. What they are is little strands of glass fibre. And if you get a piece of brass and you put it on there and you start rubbing, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see, the colour is starting to change because it's scratching it. So that's scratching off the surface. So any oxidation that is on the surface, you start to clean off, like so. And that is a good way. And it's a less, it doesn't destroy the top. Whereas if you're getting a piece of sandpaper or emery cloth or something, unless it's very fine, but you can see there it's quite shiny. So that's that. Now, like I say, the flux, I always put the flux on with a brush. The other thing, keep it away from children, well away, because it is a nasty stuff. So I put a little bit on there, like so. So that eats into there. Now I get my iron, and I'm going to put some on there as well. You can hear it sizzling away, because I want to try and re-tin this nozzle, because I rather messed it up a bit the other day when I was using it, and I put another tip in and got on with the work I was doing. So I'm just going to rub that in there like so. Yeah, I think it's cleaning up a little bit already. So then I'm going to just put a little bit of solder on, like so. I'm going to put it back in there to clean it off. And I think, hopefully, we will bring this back to life again. So it's really cleaning that up now. That's that. Put the solder on. So you can see the solder's going right along the tip now. That's how we want it. So this is how you work in there. Obviously, mind you don't stab in your finger. And as you can see, I've re-tinned that nozzle because that's how you need to keep it. So that when you put your solder on, I'll move this out of the way and you can see what's going on. Just bring a bit off the reel. That's it. And we put that on there. Let's see what's happening. Might not be quite up to temperature yet, I'm not sure. There we go. I think it wants a little bit more flux on there. You can see the iron is sticking now. And you can see that by using it on this pad, it doesn't have any effect whatsoever on the heat going onto that. So we're starting to get this on now. Once we get the heat flowing through, you will see the whole thing will go like it did on that other piece there. What this is old pieces of brass sprue from photo etch kits. I don't throw them away because I use them for practicing and for getting things working again. So we can see in a minute, because once it does flow, that's beginning to flow now. It's just getting the heat into it. Get that away. Out of it now. And you can see now it's beginning to solder and just run along. Once you've got the heat into it, then you can run the solder along, and that's it. So the good thing is that I've brought this tip back to life. You can see it's still silvered on the end. I'll put a bit more flux on just to get all this really nice. And this is the way of keeping your tip ready for work, by putting the solder on like so. Clean it off in there like that, and there we are. So that's how to revive your tip. We will do a bit more soldering. I'll make another video with some more work and just see if we can revitalize, bring that back to life. Yeah, we can. See, once you've got the heat in it, now you can see that once you've got it right and the tip's right, that is a beautiful piece of solder along there like so. And that's how we want it to go. So you have to work about with it. It doesn't come overnight. I mean, I have been doing this for a long time. I've changed a few things. The fluxes that I use are a bit different, but the people that are doing it all the time now, things are changing. So to turn the iron off, I'll just show you that. Just press the red button in the middle. Obviously, it's hot. Always use the stand. Don't lay it here, because what might happen, you think, oh, I want that. You might just pick the iron up by mistake on the tip, and then yes, you're going to have marks on your fingers and it's going to be painful for a few days. So anyway, that's the finished bit on there. So we'll be back soon with some other bits, and we'll actually put a few parts together. I just wanted to show you that basic thing. It does take a while for the iron, and then the next thing to do is go away and thoroughly, with soapy water, wash your hands to get the flux off, because you might have an itch on your iron. Suddenly away you go, and then think, oh. So yes, there we go. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much, and see you soon.